Fire consume my enemies! Slam to burst!
Skies of Arcadia is a turn-based role-playing game published by Sega for the Dreamcast and released in late 2000 in Japan and North America and early 2001 in Europe. It was also ported to the GameCube in late 2002, early 2003 under the title Skies of Arcadia Legends. Skies of Arcadia has gameplay elements similar to Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest games of the time, but the setting is what really stands out in this title. The world of Arcadia is completely gravity-defying, where continents and islands float in the skies far above the surface. Orbiting the world are 6 moons, each a different color. Bits of moonstone occasionally fall from the sky and are used as fuel for airships, which are used for travel in this world, and can also be used to harness its magical properties depending on the color. Red moonstones, for instance, have the property of fire, yellow moonstones have the property of lightning, and so on. In the game, you control Vice and his crew, a small group of young sky pirates. Vice is part of a group known as the Blue Rogues, which, despite calling themselves pirates, seem like more standard RPG adventurers, as they're more interested in exploration and helping the less fortunate from the evil Valuan Empire. Every once in a while, they do raid a ship and steal its cargo, but only from the bad guys. This is in stark contrast to the black pirates of this world, who plunder and murder indiscriminately. Through Vice's adventures, they rescue a girl named Fina from the Valuans and quickly get swept up in stopping a plot by Valua to conquer and destroy the entire world. Outside of the main storyline, the game focuses on exploration as you compete with another explorer to find as many discoveries as possible. These serve as a side quest for the game. The GameCube version features many more of these quests, but is missing a feature that you can only find in the Dreamcast version. This feature is called Pinta Quest. Pinta Quest is a mini standalone RPG played entirely on the VMU. To start this quest, you first have to encounter Pinta, who you first meet on Sailor's Island early on in the game. After you've met with him, you can send Pinta out to explore the world and acquire treasure for you. You activate this from your main menu. Just select Pinta Quest on page 2 and choose a VMU with enough blocks of memory to install the game. Make sure that you have fresh batteries in your VMU before trying to play the game. If your VMU makes that obnoxious beeping noise when you turn on your Dreamcast, then the batteries are dead. It takes 2 CR2032 batteries, which you can find at any convenience store or grocery store. It's actually unfortunate that the GameCube version is missing this entirely. This could have been a perfect opportunity to use the Game Boy Advance link cable to play the Pinta Quest, similar to how the GBA was used for games like Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures or Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. You would have to link the GBA to the console through the controller port, so you couldn't play it on the go, but you could still play it as a minigame to break up the adventure on the big screen. Or a second player could be gathering treasure as Pinta, while the other player is exploring a dungeon. The GBA Link feature has been used in many games prior to this release, and Sega was familiar with this technology since the Dreamcast was designed to connect with a Neo Geo Pocket Color in the same way. Once you're ready to play Pinta Quest, just navigate to the game option and hit the A button. In this game, Pinta will fly his airship around the map looking for treasure. The game is based entirely around random encounters. Encounters will either be finding an item, fighting against a black pirate ship, avoiding big and small rocks flying toward you in strong winds, navigating through strong headwinds, or meeting with a friendly trading ship. Encounters like fighting pirates or navigating the rocks or headwinds will give you experience points for successfully completing them. As you level up, Pinta's ship will become stronger and increase in hit points as well as other stats. You'll also acquire gold and rare items. This is the primary goal of the game. Items fall into 3 categories, A, B, and C. Items in the A category are rare, and C items are relatively common items. You won't know exactly what item that is until you return to Vice in the main game. Some of the A category items are extremely difficult to get in the main game. For instance, the Wind Gem Ring accessory that can be found in the Pinta Quest can also be found in the main game, but it has a drop rate of about 2% from only 2 specific monsters in the entire world. so it's pretty worthwhile to play the Pinta Quest game to get some of these hard-to-find items. In total, there are 23 rare items of Category A, 20 uncommon items like the Rhizolum box in Category B, and many other common items in Category C like Sakri crystals, magic dew, and various types of fish. Battles against black pirates take place on a single screen. You have a reticle that automatically sweeps across the screen. You have to time your attacks just right in order to hit the enemy ship as it moves all around the screen. If the enemy ship reduces you to 0 hit points, you retreat and lose a lot of gold in order to continue the quest. The fights were fun and require some quick reflexes as the pirate ship moves in unpredictable ways, and you can easily lose your advantage over them. One thing that I found a little frustrating is that sometimes the enemy ship would fly mostly off screen and hit me several times with its cannons, while I had no way to retaliate. Other than that happening a few times, I enjoyed this random encounter. Unfortunately, while you get a lot of experience points for beating the pirates, they don't seem to have a lot of money or treasure for me to plunder from their sinking ships. Besides enemy pirates, you'll also encounter friendly trading ships along the way. There are a variety of trades they'll offer. Early on, I didn't have the resources to make the trades, so it was kind of useless encountering them early on, but this is a great way to accumulate a lot of gold very quickly. If you encounter strong winds, you'll have to dodge rocks flying at you. Use the D-pad to avoid them. If you take too much damage, you'll have to retreat, just like the pirate battle, and give up a ton of gold to continue your quest. The amount of experience you get will depend on how well you navigated through this obstacle. The final random encounter is the most frustrating. This is the strong Headwinds. You'll have to hit the A and B buttons rapidly to push against the winds. You'll successfully complete this when you fill the meter on the right, and you'll get experience points based on how high you fill that meter before the time limit runs out. This one I didn't like at all. It's just a button masher, and it tired my hands out, especially given how small the A and B buttons are on the VMU. When you're not in an encounter, pressing the A button will bring up your menu. This has options like turning on or off the sound effects, looking at your status, gold, and items collected. You can also view the map of the world. On the map screen, you can change which area of Arcadia you want to explore. Some areas are pretty easy, while others are extremely difficult until you level up. There's no indication of what the difficulty rating is for any area, so you'll just have to experiment. Finally, you can retrieve your treasure and gold in the main menu of the main game by having Pinta return in the main menu. All the gold Pinta collected will be added to your total, and all the treasure and items he found will be identified and added to your inventory. Upon returning, if Pinta earned enough experience points, he'll level up. This is the only way to increase Pinta's level, so it's a good idea to return him to the main game as often as possible, as increased stats and health are necessary to explore the most dangerous areas of Arcadia. Since the items he finds are beneficial, it's also a good idea to play this game periodically during a regular playthrough. I didn't try this game out until after I already beat the game. The save game that I used to start the Pinta Quest was just before entering the final dungeon, and the items I got would have been a lot more useful earlier on in the game, especially the rare armors that I had found. Overall, this is a great addition to Skies of Arcadia that can only be found on the Dreamcast version. It's definitely not a full-fledged RPG by any means, but for a minigame, it gave me several hours of enjoyment. I was really surprised at how addicting the minigame is. At first, I thought this would be a 5-minute game that I would try and then never play again, but the prospect of finding more treasure and the fun factor of 4 of the 5 random encounters kept me hooked. The next time I replay Skies of Arcadia, I'm definitely going to be playing the Pinta Quest on and off throughout the adventure instead of waiting until the end. If you have a Dreamcast version of Skies of Arcadia and you haven't tried this, check it out. You'll be surprised at how fun this game can be. That's all for this episode. Thanks for watching. I'm Retro Gaming Knight, and I'll see you again in the next video.